All right, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Voice of Bedlam Live. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. We got a great NFL hour packed up and ready to go. Let's get to the co-host so we can get this thing moving. All right, let's talk to Devil John. John, how you doing?
I'm wearing my black hood because I feel like I'm run with the Grim Reaper right now, being a Carolina Panthers fan, which is 1-3 right now. But you know, I feel also optimistic that we'll bounce back. But speaking of bouncing back, let's see how these Eagles bounce back from a bye week and kick it over to Sean over here.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I didn't have a. I'm going to start off with saying I'm glad Week 4 is over with because I didn't have any Eagles game to watch first and foremost, and second of all, I thought I was going to go 1-1. Respectively in each of my fantasy leagues. I ended up going 0-2 because of last night's game. But
because you got my boy Odell over there, huh?
Well, no, because the guy I was playing in my other league had like 4 Vikings playing, and like all of them scored touchdowns.
Well, let's not hog your intro all up, and let's talk to your brother,
Colin.
Colin, how you doing?
I'm doing very fine, quite the contrary. I won every single fantasy league I'm in again for the second week this year so far. Sitting pretty. The Eagles couldn't have possibly lost because they had a bye, so definitely a perfect football weekend for me.
So that's a perfect situation for the Eagles fans.
Sure is, especially when your fantasy teams win.
Oh, well, yeah, that's if you did not get the injury bugs. But speaking of the injury bugs, let's talk about these scores of last week.
All right, so, I mean, Week 4 is in the books. I mean, it's kind of a bitter sweet because, I mean, a quarter of football is already over. A quarter of the season is gone. Now, we're going to start things off Thursday night. The Bengals taking down Miami 22-7. Now, the London game, Sam Stocks was there. We're getting his vlog up and ready. Nice little tour through London. Jaguars came up on top on that one, 30-27 over the Indianapolis Colts. Kicking it down south to Houston. Texans taking out the Titans 27-20. Redskins besting the Browns 31-20. Jets with another loss, this time falling to Seattle, who actually had an offense. Russell Wilson throwing a pair of touchdown passes, coming out on top 27-17. Bills shut out the Brady-less Patriots. Jacoby Brissett getting the start, going down. Brady on the return. We'll talk about it later. Panthers fall yet again. The Kittens 1-3. Division rival, Julio Jones going for 300 yards. Matty Ice throwing for over 500 yards. Atlanta comes out up top 48-33. John's Raiders taking out the Ravens 28-27. The Lions fell to the Bears. Bears getting their first win of the season, 17-14. Broncos down. Broncos take out the Buccaneers. Sam Stocks' Bucks. What is going on? Broncos still undefeated, 27-7. Rams on top of the Cardinals, 17-13. Rams now 3-1. Los Angeles Rams 3-1. Saints out on top of the Chargers. Chargers losing another close one, 35-34. Dallas now in sole possession of second place of the NFC East, 24-27 over San Francisco. 24-17 over San Francisco. Steelers destroying the Chiefs, 43-14. And Monday night, the Giants fall hard to the Minnesota Vikings, 24-10. And that's where we're going to start off this week's All right, so it was a Monday night showdown. The Giants come out of the game. I'm saying the Giants have a chance as long as they play mistake-free. If they're not committing dumb penalties and giving away the ball, I think the Giants can take down Minnesota. In the first drive, the Giants are guilty of 2 big penalties and then muff the punt, turn the ball over after the defense holds them to a 3-and-out. Game gone from there. Odell Beckham, the center of controversy once again. It annoys the crap out of me. Now, when he played Josh Norman the first time with Carolina and it was more of a fight and a brawl, I respected that. I was totally fine with that. But now, Odell Beckham is coming off like a child, and I can't stand it. There's no crying in baseball. There's definitely no crying in football, all right? So be a man. Be a grown-up. Be a big boy. You know what I'm saying? Be a big boy.
Cam just pouts.
Maybe, he's crying. Eli's not throwing me the ball. You can see him on the sideline. How many drops did he have? Maybe if you got your hands on it, maybe if you stop doing the Head and Shoulders commercial, you know what I mean, and you started getting your hands on the ball. I don't care if you use one hand. That's fine with me. Just get the ball in. A lot of people were using
one-hand catches.
Yeah, just get the ball in. I don't care if it's fancy, if it's clean. Get the ball in. Stop dropping third downs. Stop having a rookie outperform you and then crying on the sidelines.
Yeah, and then your tight end went out with a concussion too.
It's pathetic. Larry Donnell will tie. The Giants use both their tight ends, but I'm sorry. The real story of this game, it's all Ben McAdoo. I'm sorry. The team looks terrible. I see it as all coaching blunders. When you
More
have
like
that many penalties,
Ben McAdoo.
Exactly. Go check out at Andrew Bedlam on Twitter. You can see that a little meme that I generated.
Yeah,
but
drop that one.
Did the Giants have last night?
I don't know. We'll have to look that up.
Last
we'll have to look that up. I know they had 6 at halftime. They were on pace to get 12.
They were like the least penalized team the first 2 weeks, and then between last night and week 3, they jumped up like a lot.
Same thing with turnovers as well. They had back-to-back weeks with 3 turnovers, 2 last night. That's all on the coaching. These stupid penalties. What?
Just like the famous musician Prince, Purple Rain is really good.
Yeah, you're John Gruden naming the Vikings purple, their defense purple rain. But I want to talk about now. I don't really just want to destroy Odell Beckham. When he got that unsportsmanlike conduct, I think that was a bunch of bull. I mean, what happened was it was a questionable. Yeah, it was questionable. Not like there needed to be a flag for a late hit, but there could have been. And he didn't shove anybody. He kind of just talked in somebody's ear, kind of like I didn't think that warranted. That was a little ridiculous that they threw a flag on him for that. But I guess they're trying. He's starting to get a reputation. He's starting to look like another Terrell Owens. I think they're trying to keep him toned down. So I want to say to the Eagles fans, now, how did Colin? How did you deal with Terrell Owens doing sit-ups in his driveway, calling out the GM by name, calling him a couple?
Went to a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah. So how did you guys? What happened with that, Colin?
I mean, at that point, that was the year after we made the Super Bowl, so we were all in love with Terrell Owens. He could have just slapped a small baby, and I would have been like, you know what? That's cool. Give him some money. Let's go. Let's go back to the Super Bowl. So Terrell Owens, obviously, he's a diva. Odell Beckham Jr., he's obviously a diva. But Xavier Rhodes, the corner of the Vikings, he knows this. And so he was chirping, and he successfully set off Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham needs to have some maturity, and he needs to know that people are going to be doing this to him game in, game out until he can prove that he's going to be able to control his temper and not draw flags. T.O. was the same way, and, Beckham has the talent to do, some of the things that Terrell Owens has done. So he needs to just keep it cool, go out there, produce, and don't let the chirping get to him. Terrell Owens, obviously, I don't even know if he ever corrected that. But Odell Beckham needs to, stray away from the route that T.O. went and just focus on getting in the end zone, getting open. Don't let Xavier Rhodes and these other corners get to you.
Now, Sean, Odell Beckham was the first pick of your team in Bedlam's Fantasy, our little fantasy league that we had sponsored by DraftKit.
Find the end zone.
So how do you feel about the lowest graded wide receiver in Week 4 of football on your fantasy team, that being Odell Beckham? According to Pro Football Focus, Odell Beckham, lowest graded wide receiver.
What else is there to say other than it sucks? I drafted him first overall. Well, not first overall, but took him in the first round, expecting him to be a top wideout, and he has yet to even find the end zone.
But he does have the numbers, though. Not this game, he didn't. But he has been putting up yards.
Yeah. He did. I mean, he has been recording catches. I think last week he had something like 12 or 13 catches or something like that, right? But he has yet to find the end zone, and that's not what you want out of your first-round pick. And I just want to ask the Giants fan then, what do you think about this? Like, I mean, he's obviously more of a detriment to your team than he is helping right now. So what do you as a fan? How do you see that? And what do you think?
Well, I don't think he's.
What do you
being
think
detrimental.
Ben McAdoo should do about it?
Well, I think it all goes on Ben McAdoo. I don't think Odell's being detrimental to the team. I mean, he is still, like one of our top receivers. Before last night, I'm getting up the stats now from NFL.com. But before last night, he was on pace to break 1,000 yards. I don't know if he still is now. Now he's got 22 receptions on the year, 303 yards, so still on pace to break 1,000 yards. He's got down to an average of 75 yards a game, which is not terrible, but throughout his first 16 games, he broke a record for having the most consecutive 90-yard games. Also, this was the first game where he didn't record at least 4 catches, so a lot of these records that he was setting during the first, year and a half of his career are now starting to end, and we really got to see how he's going to deal with it. So far, I don't like it, and I don't like McAdoo's job as a coach. You can't throw the ball 5 feet every play. You just can't, all right? We can't be in 3rd and long because of a penalty every damn time, and you have Eli dump it off to a tight end in the flat, 2.5 feet, not even a yard, like just 2.5 feet down, who's probably going to drop it anyway. So I really think between the penalties, the divas, the turnovers, a lot of this has got to go down on the discipline that the new head coach is bringing them.
This is what I noticed in the game, because I watched
thereof.
the whole game. I did, and I was also playing Madden, so it was like kind of like there. All right, cool. Focus on Madden. Now watch the game. All right, but what I've noticed over the career of Eli Manning is when he makes a mistake, he makes this face that's like, I footballed bad. He makes this look like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like he's like, I footballed.
Yeah, me too.
I footballed bad.
Sam Bradford has the same face too,
Yeah,
so
yes.
we're definitely familiar.
Yeah,
with
so-
it.
Well, Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford also has that constant deer in headlights, kind of confused
Correct.
Ryan
Yes.
Reynolds look to him.
Yes.
So
See, you and my wife think everybody looks the same. She was saying he looks like Ryan Reynolds too. I never noticed
he
that.
looks like
He sort of
Ryan
does,
Reynolds.
though.
He's got weird eyes.
He
though.
looks like
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, but like a Ryan Reynolds after
But-
like someone said something that he didn't
But
understand.
here's the biggest thing that I think
This would be
everybody
the
is
last thing on this
overshadowing here now. First-year coach doesn't have control of his team. Like,
Well,
if
he's-
you
he's
see
was
your
coordinator
top,
for the
if
past
you
2
see your
years.
star receiver acting the fool, you sit his butt down and say, "Yo, get your stuff together, and then come out here and play for the team."
He didn't. I got to be honest. As much crap as I was talking, he didn't act all that bad this week. He just didn't play good, and he wasn't like screaming and throwing things on the sidelines. It doesn't help that the camera's cutting to him every chance it gets, but you could
Well,
tell he
that's
was
because
aggravated.
he
But
asked
it was
for it.
not. Yeah. But it was not like last week. It wasn't blown out of proportion. He'd just be sitting there like.
So
Yeah, man.
then let me ask you what I asked you before again, but really reword it. Then is Odell Beckham's play so far this year, is he helping the team?
He's on pace to break 1,000
more than he's
yards.
hurting the team.
Yes, he's still helping
Okay.
the team more than he's hurting the
So
team.
his
He's on
behavior
pace to
and
break
his play,
1,000 yards.
Is he's still? I mean, obviously he's a great receiver, but like his play combined with his behavior on the sidelines, is he still? Is what he's doing those two things? Is he still helping this team out?
Yeah,
so?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in week 1, he had 4 catches for 73 yards. Week 2, 8 catches for 86 yards. Week 3, 7 catches for 121 yards. He's definitely putting up numbers. This week was the first week where his numbers completely fell off, getting 3 receptions for 23 yards. And there was, I don't have the number in front of me, but just let me tell you, there was plenty of drops.
Because Purple
It was
Rain
sad.
was serious because there was a lot of pressure pressure on Eli Manning. And not only that, there was and because of all that pressure, you could see that he was frazzled in that pocket, so that, you saw more of that I footballed bad face.
All right, let's take a quick second here and tell everybody about FanUpNetwork.com. The NFL is in full swing, and that means fantasy football time. So pay attention to the next 3 words. Fan Up Network. This groundbreaking app allows you to view all your teams, gives player updates, injury news, and advice from fantasy expert. That's right, everything you need to properly manage your teams in one place. The Fan Up Network. Get the app now by visiting fanupnetwork.com or search Fan Up in app stores. Streamline the process and gain the edge. FanUpNetwork.com. All right, now we're going to move on, wrap up the Giants game a little bit. I mean, we're going to move in and we're going to talk about some injuries. Now, we're going to start things off with the Eagles because it appears as if Zach Ertz is due to come back. Now, the tight end, they reported Monday that he's been medically cleared to return to the team after suffering a displaced rib in week 1. Sean, what does this mean for the Birds?
It opens up, it spreads the field out a little bit more. Trey Burton and I think Brent Selleck have done a good little job filling in for him, especially Trey Burton. But the Eagles are definitely going to benefit from having Zach Ertz back. Kyle, what do you think?
I think it's going to mean
why
more.
Don't you talk to me? We got to keep time. Why don't you talk to me about McKelvin coming back?
That's a huge difference because Jalen Mills has, he's been beat by Alshon Jeffrey. He kind of got made a fool of by Antonio Brown. And I get it. These are 2 of the top wideouts in the NFL. But Jalen Mills is a young kid. He's a rook. He's not going to be able to hold his own. Leavis McKelvin is a veteran. He's played for Jim Schwartz for years. He did it in Buffalo. It's going to be a real blessing to get him back. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the full defense will do against another formidable offense in Detroit.
All right, okay, we're going to kick things over now to Carolina because Cam Newton did suffer a concussion, and according to Ron Rivera, he has no idea when he'll be back, and also we have to keep an eye on Thomas Davis' hamstring. So, John, why don't you talk to us about this injury and talk to us about that butt whooping that Matty Ice put on your defense?
Well, the young cornerbacks definitely got exposed. Honestly, when you have someone that is as explosive as Julio Jones, and he knows the Panthers' weaknesses because he goes up against them how many times now? He's been an Atlanta Falcon his whole entire career, so he knows the Panthers in and out. And knowing that there's no veteran leadership in that cornerback core, you're going to be able to exploit that. So what that means is there needs to be a learning curve that needs to be more immediate. There needs to be more immediate attention to that curve being refined if you want to win games, because that's the biggest thing. It's always been an issue in Carolina. The cornerbacks have never been together, really fully together, I should say, up until recently when we had Josh Norman and then a healthy Ben Wakir. But honestly, the helmet-to-helmet hit on Cam that put him out was, I thought, uncalled for as well, because you've seen the man, he could have gone lower, but you've seen him, brace up and just hit him right in his face. And that should have been called. The fact that he sauntered into the end zone was uncalled for. He even said it himself.
Yeah, he did kind of try and just prance right in there.
Yeah, that was real lazy. I couldn't believe that play.
One notable thing, Falcons did not go out unscathed. Linebacker Sean Weatherspoon tore his Achilles tendon and is out for the season. Now, let's talk about Rob Ninkovich returning from a 4-game suspension, as well as Tom Brady returning from a 4-game suspension, and talk about some Patriots. Rob Novinsky also suffering from a tricep injury. So let's see. Now the Patriots. This was
Ninkovich.
the first. That's what I said.
Right?
Yeah.
Did
Ninkovich.
You?
Yeah.
Ninkovich.
That's Nikovic.
Yeah.
Same difference to me.
I'm
Sounds
always
like a hockey player.
Yeah,
I know,
it does,
right?
yeah.
I know. I was like, dang, man. I thought we were talking. I thought we went to the puck over here for a second. It's like, oh, we got Rob Ninkovich.
But the Patriots, this is the first time they've been shut out at home since 1993. Now, somehow the Patriots miraculously being 3-1 without Tom Brady.
Yeah.
A lot of time without Gronk as well.
Yeah.
So Brissett gets beat bad by a division rival. Now Tom Brady has a nice little tune-up game against the Browns. So
Here's a funny little side question. Did you guys hear the post-game press conference that Rex Ryan had?
no, I missed it.
I feel like
should've,
he already considers this season a success.
Yeah, he just won the Super Bowl.
Because he beat the Patriots at home. Not only that, but he shut them out.
Yeah.
I feel like Rex Ryan has already.
He says that's the game he circles every year.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, when you're going up against the division leaders for over a decade,
Rex Ryan's been sitting at.
That is true. Like he has been, like you know,
that is like
had the biggest
shadow.
uphill battle. Everyone in that division.
correct. So I would mark that off as a Super Bowl win in my morale character, in my morale
It's your personal
area,
Super
I
Bowl
would
win.
say. Like, but honestly, they got an uphill battle because they have Sammy Watkins on injured reserve. They need to see, they need to keep that momentum going. Can they, or did they put all their eggs in the basket for everybody to see? And now people have game tape on everything that they can do.
All right, now we'll get back to the rest of the suspension list. Now that Week 4 has come, a lot of suspensions are up.
Yeah, Week 4.
So we'll get to that a little bit later in the show, but now we're going to keep moving on with injuries. Talking about another concussed quarterback, that being Carson Palmer, and Omar Ruiz of NFL Network reported Drew Statton will start Thursday against the Niners. The team has also signed Zach Desert.
Desert.
Off the practice squad.
Yeah, just
so he
for a
does know
backup,
so he does know the system a bit. So that's good being a having the guy. You got to have a quarterback on the practice squad.
Yeah, that's a good day, man.
It's never
1 minute, 1 minute you're showing up,
him.
for practice, and then the next minute it's like, hey, you got to suit up with the team now because you're the backup.
Now, before we keep things moving with injured quarterbacks, let's remind you guys you are listening to Bedlam on the All In Sports Talk Network. I am your host, Andrew Santoro. You guys can catch us every Tuesday and Friday night live on the All In Sports Network, or hit us up at voiceofbedlam.com, where you can find our show in podcast form. If you miss any portion of it, you can hear it in its entirety, and you can also get links over to our YouTube page where you could watch the show.
And look at these handsome devils.
Stream it from anywhere. We're on iTunes, Podbean, Google Play Music, Stitcher. Leave us a comment. Hit us up on Twitter at Andrew Bedlam, or Facebook at facebook.com/VOBpod. And, make sure you check out all the rest of the great shows on the All In Sports Talk Network. And make sure to check out the blog over at voiceofbedlam.com, where we got some great articles going up. I just did a nice one about Dak Prescott. We might talk about a little bit later. But let's get to the matter at hand and talk about Trevor Siemian, another quarterback going down. Now, this is the Broncos quarterback, undefeated Broncos, who still remain undefeated, giving Paxton Lynch his first opportunity under center in the NFL. Lynch coming out with the win. Now, Colin, will Trevor Siemian return, or is Paxton Lynch, is he thrust into a starting role now? What do you think, Kojo?
Well, most recently they're saying that Trevor Siemian is just listed as day-to-day with a shoulder injury. It doesn't seem to be as severe as initially thought at the end of the game. So things are kind of going to be trending well for Trevor Siemian. It means good things for Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, though. My opinion, and I want to see what you guys think, I was pretty impressed with what Paxton Lynch was able to do in there.
What do you think, Sean? I didn't really catch any of the Broncos game.
I didn't catch any of it either.
He moved the ball pretty well.
what did-
Honestly, it just
14 for 24 for 170 yards, leading 3 scoring drives. That's per
pretty impressive.
Andrew Mason
And
on DenverBroncos.com. So.
We've said this before that the Broncos don't necessarily need stellar quarterback play in order to win games. They have
Obviously,
they have
yeah.
that monster defense. So
Yeah, they do.
Whether it's Paxton Lynch or Trevor Siemian, I don't think it's all the same to them. And if Paxton Lynch or Trevor Siemian ends up being their franchise guy, they're set with that defense.
All right, we're going to take a look, talk about another injured quarterback, and that being Jay Cutler, who is, luckily for Bears fans, or who knows if it's luckily, day to day, a lot of Bears fans I think might prefer if Jay Cutler got moved out for a couple weeks. But Jay Cutler is day to day, and Jets cornerback Darrelle Revis had a mild hamstring strain, according to NFL.com. Coach Todd Bowles said it is too early to tell his availability for Sunday. Now, a former Jet, Antonio Cromartie, and cousin of Giants quarterback Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, was cut by the Indianapolis Colts today. I haven't seen why, but he did start all 4 games. I wonder if it had anything to do with his play in London.
Probably.
That team is a mess.
Yeah, they
a lot
really
of
are.
messes.
All right, but we're going to take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you unemployed looking for that perfect job, going back to school, or exploring a new career? Then it's time to visit newcodelogic.com. At Job Search Logic, we'll not only help you search and apply to any job, but do all the work involved to get you that new job. That's newcodelogic.com. Our strong, long-term devotion with all of our clients means a new world of possibilities for your new career. Get on the inside track to finding your new job today. That's newcodelogic.com. We have the connections and industry expertise to offer you the best jobs at the world's leading companies. Visit us today. Are you unemployed?
Whoops.
Are you unemployed? We'll check them out today.
Yeah, check out Job Search Logic. But let's keep this voice of Bedlam live on the All In Sports Talk Network moving. I am your host, Andrew Santoro. You guys can check me and the rest of the VOB crew out every Tuesday and Friday night. And make sure you hit up the blog at voiceofbedlam.com. All right. Now, let's talk suspensions. A lot of suspensions being lifted. We talked about the Patriots suspensions being lifted. Johnny Manziel, he's not signed anywhere, but his 4-game suspension for violating the substance abuse policy is now over. One person on the other hand, Josh Gordon, placed back on the suspension list indefinitely. Now, there's really not much to be said about either one of these guys. It's pretty much the only time their name ever comes up is in something bad. I mean, Josh Gordon is at least good on the field. Manziel is yet to be good on the field. Will either one of these two players, Sean, will either one of these two guys see the field again for any team?
Yeah, if I was the owner, I wouldn't touch Johnny Manziel with a 40-foot pole. I think I've said that at least once.
What about Gordon?
Josh Gordon, definitely.
Colin, how
Josh
say
Gordon
you?
Sorry, Colin. Josh Gordon is a great talent, but Johnny Manziel doesn't have a place in the NFL. Colin,
Yeah, I agree with Sean. It's the talent level of Josh Gordon is unreal. I mean, 3 years ago, but he was the top receiver in receiving yards.
He had back-to-back 200-yard games.
You can't fluke that. You really can't fluke that. He's an incredible talent. If he gets his head straight, and I'm rooting for the guy, then he's definitely got a future in the NFL. Someone will take a chance on him, and maybe he won't be the same level player that he was a few years ago. But if you're going to digress, you're not going to go from that to a bum. He might be able to find himself a little solid role for a team somewhere down the line.
All right, well, one person who I think will definitely see the field quickly, DeMarcus Lawrence, Cowboys defensive lineman, also coming off his 4-week suspension. Now, Dallas, not that their defense has been bad, but he's definitely an upgrade. So, John, you're the only guy on the show not rooting for an NFC East team. So in our 4-minute hut, which we'll get to later, we're going to talk about who we see at the first quarter as maybe maybe some possible division winners. But I got to hear your answer now, especially with the Cowboys, getting DeMarcus Lawrence back. Who do you see taking the NFC East at the quarter mark of the year?
Right now, it has to be the Cowboys because they have the most targets. They have the most talent right now. They have decent wide receivers. They have a good running back core. And honestly, that offensive line is just amazing. The movement that they can create for a rookie running back,
and a rookie quarterback,
and a rookie quarterback. Honestly, those two dudes should be buying the offensive line dinner for the rest of the season because they're doing an amazing job. So, given that the close second place right now is the toss-up between Washington and Philly right now, because I think Washington has enough targets, now I'm stuttering here. Enough players on the wide receiver core to get the ball to move, but they just need Kirk Cousins to be a little more consistent with delivery. He's got a nice cannon, but his accuracy is completely flip of a coin. And in this league, you cannot be like that. You need to be precise. You need to put the ball where it needs to go, and you need to put your players in a position to make the catch and win you the game. Especially in the NFC East, where it's uber competitive because you got media markets that really, run the league. Dallas's media market's huge. New York's media market's huge. You're talking about two giant media markets. That's the reason why the NFC East has to be on top of it. They're the most scrutinized. And
there is no losing team in the NFC East right now. Worst team being like the Giants at 2-2.
Exactly. So because it's either win or be ridiculed because you got so much media coverage covering each game, and you got to face these teams in your division twice a year.
Now this is a good time to plug my article up at voiceofbedlam.com. voiceofbedlam.com. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And now this is talking about Dak Prescott because it seems as if Tony Romo will be ready to return in Week 7. Now Dak Prescott has won 3 straight and played great in a Week 1 loss to the Giants as well. Pro Football Focus sees him as the 10th highest graded quarterback in the NFL with an overall grade of 81.6. That coming with a 77.3 grade on the pass and an 83.7 on the run. Now, he's taken all of Dallas's 287 offensive snaps, and if Romo does come back, I'm all for, you always hear me saying, young quarterback sitting the bench, blah, 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 blah. That is my thought. But with him being thrust into the spotlight, I think pulling him out would hinder him. I'm not for sitting a rookie quarterback unless he's throwing like 18 interceptions, because even if he is bad, I think, well, you've already made your bet in it. Like, just let him get used to the offense and work on it next year. But he's playing great. So why chance a beat-up Tony Romo, who is, a top 10 quarterback when healthy, but with like no playoff wins? I mean, he has a couple playoff wins, but
there's only 2 people that will benefit from that situation: Tony Romo and Des Bryant. If Tony Romo
Tony Romo returns.
Yeah,
so you think the team should also stick with Prescott regardless of Romo's?
He's your future. Exactly. And not only that, you got your future back. You're there with Ezekiel Elliott. You have a decent offensive line for a few more years before you have to start taking care of their rookie their post rookie contracts, which that's going to be a big amount of money when those contracts come up. So with that being said, you have to try to win now. So why not give it to the person who has the hot hands? And Dak Prescott has the hot hands right now.
Now, Sean, I wanted to ask you now, Pro Football Focus views rookie quarterback Carson Wentz as the highest graded quarterback in the NFL with a 90.2 or a 90.5 overall grade, grading out with a 90.2 in the pass. Now, does this new 2 Dallas team. You guys are at the top of the division, 3-0. Dallas being 3-1. Eagles with an early bye, which isn't really, good news for them. But does this Dallas team scare you, Sean?
Does it scare me? Not necessarily, but I mean, you're talking to an Eagles fan. What I gotta say is that when I look at the two quarterbacks, Prescott and Wentz, I think Wentz does have a little bit better of a skill set. I think he can do some things that Dak Prescott can't necessarily do.
Well, Dak's definitely better with his legs.
But that being said, though, John kind of mentioned it before, that if you put the two teams side to side, Philly if you put those two teams, if you took Philly's defense and you took Dallas's offense, you'd have a champion. I think like a championship caliber squad, because I think the Cowboys are a little bit more complete on offense. They have actually a number one wideout. They have a number one running back.
The Eagles
but they
defense
don't have
was showing up
the
a little bit.
The
though.
Eagles have a good front seven. The secondary is maybe not so great.
Correct.
But
they're aggressive out there in the
that
secondary.
Defense that front seven is hungry, and that secondary feeds off that front seven.
You need some people to be aggressive and some people to come back a little bit.
Not yet, because I actually have confidence in what the Eagles can do moving forward. But I think what's going to happen is that this could end up being a fight for that division going all the way to week 17.
Now,
I think when it comes to, I want to comment on this, because in the same fashion that Carson Wentz wasn't perceived as legit until he beat a real team, in which he pounded the Steelers, Dak Prescott has beaten the 49ers, the Chicago Bears, and of course 2 divisional games, beating the Redskins and beating the Giants.
He didn't beat the Giants.
He
lost the Giants.
He lost the Giants.
My apologies. But in both of those 2 games, he did not throw a touchdown pass. He's actually still only thrown 3 touchdown passes. Obviously, Carson Wentz has more than that. Now, when he plays the Bengals this week, or when he plays the Packers on October 16th, the following week, those are more formidable defenses. The Packers are the league in run defense, so that'll be a tough matchup for Zeke. A lot to be expected of Dak. Now, if he beats those teams, then he's got to keep playing.
But if he beats the Bengals, I think the Bengals are an easier opponent. If he beats the Bengals next week, the Cowboys will then be 4-1. Now, coming off 4 straight wins, you never know what could happen in Lambeau. But let's say he takes a lump in Lambeau, then gets the bye. The Cowboys being 4-2 at the bye in questionable NFC East. The Redskins now winning 2 straight, the Giants losing 2 straight. That division is always very jumbled, and it looks like the Eagles can really compete. I'd be afraid to change anything up, especially coming off a bye, going 4-2 in the bye. Who knows? They might be able to go 5-1 if they could steal a win in Lambeau. I can't see putting Tony Romo back in for any circumstance other than injury.
John said it. You ride the hot hand. If Dak Prescott is playing well, you don't just throw him on the bench for a cold Tony Romo, who's already had 3 major surgeries in the last several years. You just can't really do it. I get Tony Romo is your franchise guy, but Dak Prescott is playing really good football, and you can't just take him and just throw him on the bench because your Tony Romo is now playing again.
So with all due respects to the Tony Romo apologists.
All right, but this is Voice of Bedlam Live on the All In Sports Talk Network. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. We got Sean Bedlam on with us, Devil John, and my man King Kojo, Colin Johnson, on the phones. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to check out voiceofbedlam.com, where you can read the article I was just referencing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, talking about Dak Prescott. But we're going to close up today's daily breakdown and roll out this week's 4-Minute Hut.
With the 4-minute hut.
John, so late on that.
I know.
John forgets the 4-minute hut even exists
That's
anymore.
because you don't even have it in the notes.
Well,
It's been a long time
we
since
have
we've done it, though.
what we discussed before the show in the notes. It says recap whatever anyone else wants to talk about.
We were doing Joker Choker pick'ems.
Well, our Joker Choker pick'ems will be up right after our 4-minute hut. Our 4-minute hut of the quarter polls of who will win the divisions after a quarter of the season has gone by.
Oh well, then all apologies. Here you guys go. Here with your 4-minute hut.
All right, there we go.
It's late.
All right, so we got about 20 minutes left to do the show.
Yes.
We are going to get to our jokerchoker.com,
which I thought was next.
Football pick'em poker picks in just a couple minutes. But at first, now John, you have already taken the Cowboys to win the division.
Correct.
All right. My original pick was the Cowboys to take the division, and with the way Ben McAdoo has this team running, it pains me to say it, and I hope it's not true. I think I'm still right. I like the Cowboys in the NFC East. Sean, who you taking?
Don't call me a homer.
Right.
I'm taking the Eagles.
Okay, and
We'll just play something else.
Colin, are you going to take the Eagles, or do you see someone else taking the NFC East?
Well, my original pick at the beginning of the year was the Redskins, but until the Eagles show any sign of slowing down, it's tough not to assume they're going to keep playing this well. I'm taking the Eagles at this point.
That's exactly how I see it.
I mean, that's an honest. They are number one in the division right now. Why wouldn't they win?
I have them as representing the wild card.
So you see two
NFC.
coming out of the NFC East?
Yeah, number 2.
All right, well, let's
I can
kick it
see
over.
that too.
Let's kick it over to AFC East. We only got so much time. We got to get to our jokerchoker.com pro football pick 'em poker picks. AFC East, I have to go with the Patriots being 3-1 without Brady, without Gronk, and now Brady's coming back against the Browns. Patriots take down this division easily, even after getting shut out by a divisional rival at home.
Patriots.
Colin?
Oh, yeah, Patriots.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's head up north where things are a little bit tighter. Let's talk NFC North, where, we got them undefeated Purple People Eaters. Purple Rain, as John Gruden and Devil John like to call them. And so who do we see taking this, the Packers or Minnesota? I'm sticking with Purple. I've seen what they can do.
I thought you picked the Packers, though. I swear you picked the Packers. I
don't know. I like these
now
Vikings.
it's the quarter polls, and we can change our minds.
Oh yeah. See,
I'm taking the Purple People here.
I locked in with the Vikings, I believe, in the beginning.
Yes, you did.
I'm sticking with them because this defense is serious.
So where are you going, yellow or purple?
Well, I think I said the Packers before, but that was before Teddy Bridgewater got hurt.
injured.
Yeah.
And the Vikings are surprisingly playing well with Sammy Sleeves up there. I'm going to change mine to the Vikings.
All right, John's taking them Purple People Eaters. Colin, who do you like in the North?
Purple Rain.
Yeah, I too went with the Packers early on, but considering how easily the Vikings already beat the Packers, I'm flip-flopping to them as well.
All right, let's kick it over AFC North. Now, okay, the Browns dead. This is really a conversation between, Flacco, who seems to be the comeback kid as of late, Big Ben and Antonio Brown, who had a lot of redemption against Kansas City this week.
I'm sticking with my Ravens. They're taking
Ravens?
that division. Yeah, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, they show that they have holes losing against Philadelphia, but then they bounce back and they so they bounce back after a loss. But honestly, this Baltimore team, they have a aged Steve Smith Sr. who's going to be riding his last ride this year, this last season. So that motivation was the motivation that got the Ravens to the Super Bowl last time with Ray Lewis, and I think that's going to be the motivation again this year.
Now, with the North, the only team to go 16-0, there's only been one team to go 16-0. I don't see any teams going 16-0 this year. That loss to Philadelphia means nothing. Pittsburgh will continue to redeem themselves after that one little blemish on their record, and they will take the AFC North. I'm going black and gold. Sean, how say you?
I think I originally said Cincinnati. I think Pittsburgh is pretty serious. They actually seem like they might be a better team than Cincinnati, at least quarter of the way. I don't want to flip-flop too much, but I'm going to take the Steelers also.
How about you, Colin?
Yeah, I too picked the Bengals at the beginning of the year, but I'm going to stick with them considering their only losses are to Pittsburgh, which was in Pittsburgh, and obviously a tough loss at home to the Broncos, who are 4-0 and probably still the best team in NFL. So I'm keeping with the Bengals.
Sticking with the Bengals. All right, let's head down south where things are getting a little bit uglier. I like Atlanta in the NFC South. How could you not? Let's talk to the Panthers fan.
Honestly, I took the Panthers in the beginning of the year, and I believe in Riverboat Ron turning this losing hand of a 1-3 start and turning it around to a winning season. Maybe squeak out with the worst case scenario as a wild card, but definitely making.
So you got the Panthers coming in as a wild card at 1-3.
That's the worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
But honestly, my homer pick is going to say that Carolina reclaims this division because Hot Atlanta will become not Atlanta, because Atlanta always starts off very great, but towards the end of the season they always seem to forget how to play football. But so I'm going with Carolina.
All right. Sean, Colin, who do you guys like in the NFC South?
Kong, you go ahead.
I'm going to stick with the Panthers. I don't see them losing this week to the Bucks at home. Now, if they go in 1-4, I'm going to have to change my mind, but I'm sticking with Carolina. I think they'll come back.
Yeah, and I'm just going to reiterate John's point. Atlanta always starts off really good and then falters. I don't think Carolina is as bad as the 1-3 start that they've set already.
I don't know. Cam Newton gets sacked 8 times. Eli Manning wasn't sacked at all.
That was against the number one defense in Minnesota.
Eli Manning didn't get sacked at all. Eli Manning is nowhere near as elusive as Cam Newton. He was throwing the ball at the ground a lot, but 8 sacks to no sacks.
I also saw a lot of grabbiness on the offensive line, but that was my fault.
Last night,
it was ugly.
I saw the Giants go down early. That's about it.
Think about it. The Panthers have lost to 2 undefeated teams, and the only team that beat them last year on their 15-1. They're still a good squad. It's just tough starts to the season.
Yeah, what was Calvin Benjamin's numbers like? He was catchless the week before.
Yeah, he was catchless, but he did get, I think it was about at least 36 the last time I actually looked at the things, because I was looking at how that game went down towards the end. Even when Derek Anderson came in the game, they were still moving the ball, and if it wasn't for that last interception by Derek Anderson, there could have been a comeback story in that game, because they were down by 8. They cut the lead to 8, and then the interception pick 6 was just not what we wanted going towards the stretch. But also losing Cam to that stupid play was completely uncalled for, both on the defensive side for him intentionally going for his head, and 2 for Cam Newton just saunteringly, driving into the end zone. Like, there's so many times that he's done that type of play where he couldn't check down to anybody, so he took the ball himself, but he moved with conviction. That time he looked like he was just playing backyard ball with his buds.
All right, we're gonna have to keep things moving on Voice of Bedlam Live. Got about 13 minutes left. Got to get to our Joker Choker picks for this week in the AFC South. Sean, why don't you real quick fire off who you like in the AFC South?
I'm changing mine from the Indy Colts to the Houston Texans.
I agree with Houston Texans. I like Fuller. I like Hopkins. Even without J.J. Watt, the squad seems like they can hold it together. South is a weak division. Colin, who you taking in the AFC South?
Yeah, I'm also flip-flopping from the Colts to the Texans. That offensive line in Indianapolis is terrible.
I've taken
playing well, but they can't win.
I've taken the Texans the whole time. John, who do you like?
Well, I guess the stars at night are big and bright.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
So I'm going with them too.
All right, let's go out west. I like the Raiders in the AFC. Losing the first one, winning 3 straight. Derek Carr, Amari Cooper. I can't say no to that silver and black. John, what are you thinking with the West?
Bows knows
those Raiders. Sean, where are you going?
I'm still picking Denver.
Denver, undefeated, Super Bowl champion, Denver Broncos. Colin, who do you like in the AFC West?
the most dominant team in the NFL so far this year, after the Eagles, is the Denver Broncos. I'm sticking with them.
All right, okay, and then the NFC West. Blaine Gabbert, man, he not that I think the Niners are going to do anything, but is playing better than I thought he would. And Kaepernick, jeez,
That division is so
Yeah,
so ugly.
Yeah,
confusing to
so
me.
who you going with?
I don't know, Colin. Why don't you take the first one out of the West? NFC
Give me
West.
the Seahawks. They'll get it together on offense.
Yeah,
They'll
they
start
did this
crushing
week.
People. Yep.
They did it the last couple of weeks, actually.
Jimmy Graham. is
2
that
weeks
guy.
ago, no, they had absolutely. Did they?
No,
Yeah.
last week they beat forget who it was.
No.
Somebody.
Somebody.
No.
I'll go. Whoa.
No.
They beat up on Chip Kelly in the 49ers.
Yes,
2 weeks
that's,
Oh,
that's
okay.
who it was.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was about to say, man.
The Seahawks lost, I think, in week 2, but then they
Seahawks won
Yeah, they lost to the
37-18.
Yeah.
37-18.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so they found that offense. Jimmy Graham has all of a sudden become the Jimmy Graham of
the Saints.
yesteryear with the Saints.
The Saints.
I originally took the Cardinals in that division.
We got to move, though.
I don't want to say that the Cardinals are as bad as they are, but I'm going to switch my answer to the Seahawks. They look too good.
Seahawks. I'm going with the Seahawks as well. I would go with the coin flip though. It's Arizona on the other side.
Yeah, I'm going Rams, guys. I'm jumping on this Rams bandwagon.
Wow.
Jeff Fisher.
No way.
Jeff Fisher took the not expansion, but the newly established, whatever you want to call them, Tennessee Titans
The
to the Super
re-rooted
Bowl.
Rams.
Yeah, to the no. I'm talking about when the Oilers became the Titans.
Oh, okay.
He
Yeah.
was the coach for that
Yeah, correct.
move. Took them to the Super Bowl, lost to Kurt Warner by a yard. The outstretched to the end zone, coming up just short on the last play. Would have been the first Super Bowl overtime, and I think he can get this team moving. They are 3-1. They have Aaron Donald. They have Todd Gurley. I like the Rams. Let's move on over to our JokerChoker.com Pro Football Pick'em Poker Picks. JokerChoker.com is the home of Joker Choker Pro Football Pick'em Poker, a new style of football pick'ems that brings strategy of poker to the game of football pick'ems. It's free and easy to play, but it takes strategy to win.
Yes, each week you get to pick your game winners and try to build the best poker hand that you can from those winning teams. And you can win over $500 in season end prizes. Okay, so get yourself signed up with your free account at JokerChoker.com and use the promo code Bedlam, BEDLAM. That's Bedlam for more promo codes for you. Coins.
Yeah, you get
'em
some
today.
more coins so you guys can keep playing for free. You can win up to $500. Each team that you pick will have a poker card assigned to them. So as you're doing your picks, whichever teams you take to win, you get that card. Try and build the best 5-card poker hand possible simultaneously, playing a 5-card stud with NFL pick'ems. John, why don't you tell us what you were going after in Week 5 of our Pro Football
My games
pick'ems?
are going to be Pittsburgh Steelers over the Jets, Tennessee Titans over Miami Dolphins, the Detroit Lions taking down the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New England Patriots over the Cleveland Browns. Dallas Cowboys over Cincinnati Bengals, and that's going to give me a full house, Kings and Queens.
Kings over Queens. I like all those picks. I do not believe at all that Detroit is going to take down the Philadelphia Eagles.
I've been picking good spoilers.
But even if you're wrong with that game, the way the other games are picked, you would still finish with a 3 of a kind of Kings. Because I do think you're right with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans, and the Dallas Cowboys. So you still could. I can see you coming away with 3 Kings. Sean, why don't you tell us your Joker Choker picks?
All right, let's rattle these off. I'm taking the Steelers, the Vikings, the Broncos.
We'll say who they're playing. Steelers over the
I'm
Jets.
taking the Steelers over the Jets, Vikes over the Texans, Broncos over the Falcons, Raiders over the Chargers, and the Packers over the Giants, which will give me a king high flush in diamonds. I seem to be getting a lot of these flushes.
Go for flushes.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I pretty much agree with all those games. The only one,
say
the
the Giant
Denver Atlanta game, I could see going either way.
Yeah,
It's a
you
coin
know
flip.
but
was
I
actually
do.
thinking about that because Atlanta is putting up a ton of points right now, but they are facing the number one defense.
Yeah, that's
in the
that's
Broncos.
the hardest one.
Or
But
maybe
you
number
will,
two, depending
you
on
will
who you
if you
talk-
lose
who
any
you
of
talk
these
to.
games, you're done.
Yeah,
Going with
yeah,
the
yeah.
flush, you
And
have
that's-
nothing
and
to fall back
that's
on.
that's how it's been for me. The
I
last
could see
couple
the
weeks.
Giants also winning though.
I could see. I have to be honest. I don't want to get into. We'll preview the games
we'll get
next
into
week. I don't know who I would necessarily
On Thursday.
take
Friday,
in that
sorry.
game, but. Yeah, we'll preview the games a little bit more next week. I'm gonna get to my Joker Choker picks as we wrap up this hour of on the All In Sports Talk Network. All right, well, I will take the San Francisco 49ers over the 1-3 Arizona Cardinals. I'm gonna take Miami over Tennessee, even though John took Tennessee over Miami. I can really see that game going either way. I like the King of Hearts that it gives me. Indianapolis Colts over the Chicago Bears. Cincinnati Bengals over the Cowboys. Not too confident in it, but I got to stick with it. And then Rams over Buffalo. Now, that will give me a 4 of a kind of 5s. 4 of a kind with a ace high. 4 of a kind ace high
Ace kicker.
of 5s. So if I pull this off, I'm definitely winning. Ain't nobody pulling a straight flush over me. I'm sorry, they're just not. But I mean, not all these games are guarantees. I really like the Rams. Cincinnati, I'm kind of high on them Cowboys. I like them to win the East. Hopefully
them
Cincinnati
Bills.
can knock them off. The Colts I see taking out the Bears, especially with the shaking up Jay Cutler easily. Tennessee, Miami could go either way. I definitely like the Niners over Arizona. Anybody got any big disagreements?
My only one is
Cincinnati and the Cowboys.
Well, you're taking the Bengals.
Yeah.
You said you were a little bit not
Well, he's
confident.
gambling on it.
I think the Bengals. I actually picked the Bengals to win that game too. The Cowboys don't play that well at home.
All right, okay, John,
my
that is
biggest
true, yeah.
my biggest argument right there is going to be with the Buffalo Bills coming off a very strong performance against the Patriots, and then going against a young Rams team at their home. I honestly see that going the other way.
A 3-1 Rams team. Now, Colin, why don't you wrap up our JokerChoker.com pro football pick'em poker picks?
Joker.
Now, I really wanted to avoid doing what I did, but I couldn't help it. Sean's picks looked so good to me when I first saw him post his.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Yep, I agree. And I agree. So I literally picked exactly what Sean picked. So to remind everybody,
So you both will lose at the same
Steelers
time.
over the Jets, Vikings over the Texans, Broncos over the Falcons, Raiders over the Chargers, and the Packers over the Giants. And again, I just saw that as the best hand, and those 5 games, I feel pretty confident in picking those 5 games. So that's just what I went with.
And what
Sean's
kind of hand
beating
does
all
that
of
give
us
you?
in this, so I might as well go with him,
What
right?
does that give you, Con?
What kind of hand does
That
it give you?
gives me the King High Flush in Diamond.
All right, so I definitely with the 4 of a kind and 5s and playing for the highest. Now, just like you, John, you going for the full house.
Yeah.
You could get certain games wrong and end up with 3 kings, or perhaps a pair of queens. Not that would be that
Well,
good.
my biggest gamble is with that queen. So yeah.
But I also, if I lose any of those games, I could still end up with 3 of a kinds of 5 or a pair of 5s. You two were going for the flush, so it's pretty much all
It's all or nothing.
or nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I changed up my strategy from the all or nothings.
Now,
The straight flushes are killing me.
I try to pick the best, like who I actually think is going to win, and then I look at the cards that I would get, and I'm like, I got nothing. I got nothing.
All right, okay, but real quick, let's also say we got about 3 minutes left. Who we're going to take in this Thursday night matchup, Arizona and the San Francisco 49ers. I see this as 2 bad teams, but Carson Palmer being injured, I'm not too high on it. I think Blaine Gabbert might have another shocker in him. Not that it would be that much of a shocker. Arizona is not the same Arizona. John's going with the Birds. I'm going with the Niners. Sean, who you taking?
Yeah, Carson Palmer being out concerns me a little bit, and then
Drew Stanton's not that bad, man.
he's not. But the Cardinals are usually only a high-powered offense if Carson Palmer is the one under center, and the 49ers I don't think are that bad, and they're playing at home too, so I'm going to take the
Levi
Niners
Stadium.
in a close one.
All right, Colin, real quick, who you liking in Cardinals Niners Thursday night?
I mean, this is a complete pick-em. Like, DeVar Bowman got hurt, so he'll be out, and Carson Palmer's not going to play. It's in San Francisco, so I'm going to take the 49ers, but I don't feel good about it. I still think David Johnson rushes for 200 yards.
So
Yeah, you might be right about that, too.
John, the lone wolf with the Cardinals, correct? John?
Yeah,
You're doing
I want the Cardinals to win. Honestly, I think Drew Stanton's not a terrible quarterback. I think he's going to be able to move the ball effectively enough through the air, and as one of the top running backs, David Johnson's going to light it up.
All right, everybody, you guys know what that music means. It's time for us to get out of here. We had a great time hanging out with you guys for the past hour. Make sure you guys go to voiceofbedlam.com where football rocks. Check out the show. Also, we're going to be having some Voice of Bedlam t-shirts courtesy of the All In Sports Talk Network coming out real soon, so keep eyes peeled for them. We already got the logo up, and you guys can hit us up on Facebook to check it out, or Twitter and Instagram. We're everywhere. Just type in Voice of Bedlam and we'll come up. You know what I mean? Go to Facebook.com/VOBpod, at Andrew Bedlam on Twitter, at Voice of Bedlam on YouTube. Remember, go to voiceofbedlam.com and check out the blog. We had a lot of fun. Thanks to all the sponsors. Make sure you guys check out fanupnetwork.com and jokerchoker.com, home of pro football pick'em poker picks. But for Devil John, Colin on the phones, Sean Bedlam, I'm Andrew Bedlam, and we're getting the hell out of here.